Wow, I could watch these guys all day. Aren't they amazing? And so beautiful. I'm not sure I'd want to meet one while I was swimming though. Would you? These fun creatures are called belugas, or white whales. They can grow up to 16 feet long, which seems pretty big, but actually they're one of the smallest kinds of whales. The biggest kind are blue whales, and they can grow up to be 110 feet long and are thought to be one of the largest animals that ever lived on Earth. I'm here at the aquarium with the fishes and water mammals because today we're wrapping up our series called H2OT-Testament with a whale of a tale. It's a story about a guy named Jonah who found himself in the belly of one of these guys. Probably not a small one like these belugas here. I bet it was more like a blue whale. It had to be big to fit a grown-up man in its belly in one piece. The Bible calls it huge, or the great fish. I bet you've heard the story, but I wonder if you remember how Jonah got inside the belly of the whale. A message from the Lord came to Jonah. The Lord said, "Go to the great city of Nineveh. Talk to the people there and tell them to stop doing such bad things. Nineveh is a dangerous and dark place because of the sins of the people who live there. This must stop." See, the people in Nineveh were famous for doing all kinds of evil things. Jonah was afraid to go and talk to the people, so he ran away from the Lord. He went down to the port of Joppa. There he found a ship that was going to a place called Tarshish. He paid the fare and went on board, intending to flee from God. But the Lord sent a strong wind over the Mediterranean Sea. A wild storm came up. It was so wild that the ship was in danger of breaking apart. All of the sailors were afraid, but Jonah had gone below deck. There he lay down and fell into a deep sleep. The captain went down to him and said, "How can you sleep? Get up and call out to your God for help. Maybe he'll pay attention to what's happening to us. Then we won't die." The sailors said to one another, "Come, let's cast lots to find out who is to blame for getting us into all of this trouble." So they did, and Jonah was picked. They asked him, "What terrible thing have you done to bring all of this trouble on us? Tell us. Where do you come from? What is your country? Who is your God?" Jonah answered, "I am a Hebrew. I worship the Lord. He is the God of heaven. He made the sea and the land." They found out that he was running away from the Lord. Then they became terrified, so they asked him, "How could you do a thing like that?" The sea was getting rougher and rougher, so they asked him, "What should we do to you to make the sea calm down?" "Pick me up and throw me into the sea," he replied. "Then it will become calm. I know it's my fault that this terrible storm has come on you." Instead of doing what he said, the men did their best to row back to land. But they couldn't. The sea got even rougher. They cried out to the Lord. They prayed, "Lord, please don't let us die for taking this man's life. After all, he might not be guilty of doing anything wrong." Then they took Jonah and threw him overboard, and the stormy sea became calm. When the men saw what had happened, they began to have a great respect for the Lord. They offered a sacrifice to him, and they made promises to him. But the Lord sent a huge fish to swallow Jonah, and Jonah was inside the fish for 3 days and 3 nights. From inside the fish, Jonah prayed to the Lord his God, and God listened. After 3 long days and 3 long nights, the Lord gave the great fish a command, and it spit Jonah up onto dry land. Then a message came to Jonah from the Lord a second time. He said, "Go to the great city of Nineveh, announce to its people the message I give you." This time Jonah followed the Lord's message. He followed God's purpose for him and went to Nineveh. Jonah learned that no matter how hard he tried, he couldn't run away from God. Wow, I'm really glad I came to the aquarium to show you guys those whales. You know, when I first heard that story, I thought it was about God punishing Jonah for running away from him. But when I looked closer, I saw something else. God wanted to be with Jonah. He wanted Jonah to fulfill the purpose he had for him. God could have left Jonah to drown in the sea, but he didn't. Even if it meant sending a whale after him, God was going to make sure that Jonah didn't disappear from his sight. Just like Jonah couldn't run far enough to get away from God, neither can we. That's today's big idea. God runs after us when we run away from him. You see, God wants to be with you so much that no matter where you go, he'll always be there. Jesus is always with you. Nothing can separate us from the love of God. And if you try to hide, he'll never give up. He'll always keep seeking you. Well, I hope you learned something new about God from Jonah's story and our H2O Testament series. I know I did. Thanks for watching. See you later.